Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're gonna test out a couple of new makeup products that I picked up. I was in Ulta the other day picking up a second shade of the Buttermelt bronzer, which you might know if you watched the last few videos of mine, I'm kind of obsessed with right now. And of course, as with any time I go into an Ulta, I came home with more than I went in anticipating to buy, including this giant sponge that's almost as big as my head. We're gonna test this out today. I have some thoughts on it already. I also have concealer here that I picked up at Walmart a couple of weeks ago, and I came home with an eyeshadow palette that is very old. I bet many of you own this eyeshadow palette. I did not think I was interested in it, but of course it came home with me and we're gonna test it out today. I'm actually pretty impressed with it so far. Hopefully that sounds like fun to you guys. Before we get into it all, if you are new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and especially make sure that notification bell is turned on. With that out of the way, let's get right to it. Okay, we're gonna start with the primer, but the first thing I have to show you guys that I picked up at my Ulta is this sponge from Essence. This is ginormous. Honestly, it is like the size of a large potato. I could clean my toilet with this thing. I mean, it is gonna cover my face in 2 seconds. I was actually gonna use my NARS foundation today, but I realized this is so big, I don't want it to soak up this whole bottle of foundation, so we'll probably use something drugstore. But I do want to also use this to apply my primer. I don't have any new foundation or primer today. I'm just gonna use my e.l.f. Halo Glow, but we're gonna get a good amount of this. Probably like 2 little swipes on the back of my hand. And I want to apply it with the sponge and kind of, I did dampen this. Seriously, guys, this thing is just so big. It is nuts. Did you guys ever watch, oh my gosh, what was her name? Casey Holmes here on YouTube? I see her videos pop up every once in a while. I don't think she does them very often anymore, but I remember her using a giant sponge back in the day. I think it might have been from Real Techniques or Beauty Blender or something, but I'm serious, this thing is just, I don't know, I almost feel like it's too big. We'll see. For my foundation, let's go with my Superstay today. I did pick up a new shade at Ulta the other day. This is the shade 118. We're gonna mix this shade and this shade 220, kind of equal parts, maybe leaning a little more on the darker shade. I think this 118 is gonna be probably too light for me. Maybe in January it'll match. I'm just gonna pick them up with that sponge and just go right on. Oh, I forgot to pin up my little side hairs today. I always forget to do that and then they drive me crazy when I'm editing. Okay, it is quick. Probably more foundation than I typically have to use if I'm using a brush, which is standard when you're using a sponge. But again, this thing is so big, I feel like it's likely to suck up more foundation if you're using a larger area. Probably about half, maybe a little more than half of that ends up getting on your skin and the other half kind of just sinks into the sponge. I didn't save my receipt, so I don't remember the exact price of this sponge. I'll look it up and link it down below for you guys. I'm pretty sure it was around like $5.99 or so. I think I need a little bit more. Just, I don't feel like it got all the way down here where I have some discoloration. So I'm just gonna take a little bit more, just a drop of each of these. This one I'm gonna kind of place it where I need a little more coverage. And then we'll take the sponge and just blend it out. It is fast, I'll give it that. If you don't mind using more foundation, say like the Wet n Wild Dewy foundation, which is probably my most affordable foundation, this would be great to use with that because I wouldn't feel the heartburn over wasting foundation that I would with my higher end stuff. All right, finish wise, feels like it's looking pretty good. I would say close to medium coverage, which is kind of standard for a sponge. Honestly, I feel like this was so big that it would take me a while to get used to working with something this large. I didn't dislike it. I just think it's something that maybe is a little more gimmicky than I will likely reach for. Maybe we'll use it with my concealer, which is probably crazy, but I've already got it out and dampened. And usually if I'm using a sponge, I'll use it for both my foundation and my concealer. I do have a new concealer today. I picked this up at my local Walmart. This is from the Relove by Revolution brand. This is their super concealer. This looks like a decent size. I think it was about $4.99, but as I was looking at how much product you get in here, you guys, there's almost nothing in here. 0.10 fluid ounces. I don't believe I have ever bought a concealer that has that little product inside. So just be aware of that when you see this in your drugstore and think, oh great, a $5 concealer, that's a great deal. I mean, the e.l.f. concealer is close to $5 and that one gives you 3 times the amount of product that this one gives you. So I did get 2 shades. This is the shade C11.2 and then I also picked up C6. 11.2 is obviously way too dark for me. And then C6 is quite a bit too light for me and also kind of peachy in tone. I think I'll probably use like 1 part C11.2, 2 parts C6. Hopefully that will get me close to where I need to be. Very curious how this dries down. I did swatch it when I first bought it a couple of days ago, and after I swatched the lighter one on the back of my hand, seemed like it kind of oxidized this like strange peachy pink shade. It was just not quite my undertone. So I'm curious how this will behave on the skin. I'm just kind of like tapping it on some of the areas I need more coverage. Color-wise, so far that's looking just about right. I've liked a lot of the stuff from this brand that I have tried. They have fantastic blushes. I love their brow pencil. I've mentioned it a few times. I think it's a close dupe for the Benefit Precisely My Brow, other than the shade range, which sucks. Okay, and I'm gonna take just a little bit more of the lighter shade, and this I'm just gonna put directly onto my under eye, little pocket there, and my eyelids. Now back to that potato sponge, and we're just gonna tap some of those little areas out, finish blending, and then we'll blend out the eyelids. Decent coverage. I feel like I got much better coverage after applying that concealer, so that is good. Okay, yeah, this is very tricky to get into. If you're wanting to like blend in that little area right there, it's great for my eyelid, but kind of that inner corner it's just not quite reaching in there. I might actually go and grab a brush and see if I can like attack that inner corner a little bit better, because I feel like I just pulled it off. Take the tiniest bit more of this. Then I'm gonna take my alter ego version, this concealer brush. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Angie Hot and Flashy. And just take a little bit of that and kind of pop it into this little pocket right there. That actually looks pretty good. I was worried about the shade of this concealer, but I think it's gonna work for me. Okay, let's add a little bit of powder. I'm gonna take just a touch of my Rimmel Stay Matte. Let's take a large powder brush and start on the eyelids, go across the forehead, smile lines, and just kind of put the remainder all over. Okay, and now let's move on to the rest of the cheeks. I have a sort of new bronzer. So I mentioned in the last drugstore video that I did, I picked up the Buttermelt bronzer. I love this bronzer. I have the shade number 3, Deserve Butta. I do think this shade is just a touch too dark for me, so I went back and I picked up shade number 2. This is all Buttad, B-U-T-T-A-D. I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be kind of funny, but that spelling visually looks awful. I actually really like this shade right here. It's a little bit rosier, and I actually felt the same way about shade number 3. These are very interesting bronzer shades. They have a subtle rosy quality to them. They're really nice, and I love the formula of these. So today, let's just use number 2. What I've been doing lately, I've been mixing the two together, and it's just perfect. But just for today, since I already tried number 3, I want to show you what number 2 alone looks like. I could probably use either one. Just if I'm using number 3, I have to use a very light hand because it is a little bit dark on me. But I don't know, even when I put this on my brush, do you guys see how it's kind of like red in tone? I'm kind of into that lately. Maybe you'll see that going on. It has this like slightly rosy effect to it. It's so pretty, honestly. I love this bronzer. And it goes on so smoothly. It just blends like a dream. I mean, you can just put on in 2 seconds. It's not patchy. It blends out effortlessly. Whether I'm using a smaller brush or a larger brush, it really doesn't matter. It's a great formula. Okay, and if you feel like you got a little too much, we'll just take one little tap with the giant potato sponge. Boom. Easy does it. Let's add a little bit of blush. I don't have a new blush. Actually, I do have a new blush, but I thought about including that in this video today. I'm gonna save it for a video we're gonna be doing very soon, like a dupe video. So instead, let's use this Nabla blush today. This is the 2 Reasons blush. This one is in Touch My Soul. I'm gonna use both the cream blush and then a touch of the balm. Tap a little bit of those on the back of my hand and then just go straight onto my cheek. Such a good fall blush color. It's nice and kind of vibrant, but also rosy at the same time. Great for fall. A little bit more. And let's add a little bit of highlighter. I'm gonna take my Essence, the highlighter, you guys. I just talked about these. If you watched my last video, my top 3 in every category, I mentioned these highlighters, and literally the day I posted that video and was linking some of these products, I noticed they don't have these on Ulta anymore. And I just got done complaining in a recent video that Essence discontinues things so quickly. So if you want this sponge, go out and buy it today because it might be gone tomorrow. They did it with this highlighter. I'm so upset. Now you can still find this on the Essence website. They had them on sale for like $3 or so, or $2.99. So just be warned, honestly, Essence. Okay, so this one is the shade 2 Sun Showers. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this on my cheeks. I'm so sad about that because I use this highlighter all the time. I recommend it all the time, and now I feel like I can't use it on camera as much or recommend it as much because you can't get your hands on it, or you won't be able to very soon, which makes me very sad. Guess I'm gonna have to go back to the Pure Nude because that one at least has been going strong for a good 12 years, 15 years now. All right, let's move on to the brows. So for my brows, I'm just gonna put a little bit of my brow soap in. This is the Socko styling soap. Got this on Amazon. I'm just gonna brush this through my brows, and then we're gonna use a tinted brow gel to kind of fill things in. Okay, now we're just gonna fill those in with the Pretty Smart brow gel. I'm gonna kind of pull these really upright initially, then I'm gonna go back to that spoolie that I used. Kind of blend it out, not blend it out, but just kind of brush it out a little, and then kind of go across the top so my brow hairs aren't sticking up too far. Quick, easy brow. Now let's move on to eyeshadow palettes. So I do have a new eyeshadow palette, and you guys are going to laugh at me for picking up this eyeshadow palette because it's new to me, but it has been around for probably 5 years now. The Stone Cold Fox palette from ColourPop. I don't know why this palette jumped out at me. I was at Ulta looking for the Buttermilk bronzer, the other shade, and I saw this right next to that little section. It was out on display. I swatched a couple of the shimmers and then it was in my bag. It just happened. I don't know. I didn't think I wanted this palette because I typically am more of a warm tone girl than a cool tone girl. And I also don't really like gray eyeshadow. There's kind of a lot of gray in here. But I don't know. It's fall. The shimmers got me. That's why I don't go into Sephora stores super often, because honestly, I swatched something one time and I'm sold. For today, let's just kind of, I don't even really know exactly what I want to do. Probably stick with the warmer tones. Let's go with the mix of these two right here. Ooh, so even those shades, which are, they look warmer in the pan, they're still cooler. I'm not gonna complain about that because, I mean, just look at the palette, Mandy. It's a cool tone palette. You knew that going in. Don't complain that it's showing up cool tone on your eyes. It wasn't even on sale. I paid the full, what, $36 for this palette. There are times that I'm just really weak. I even went into the store with a plan. Like, I planned to just get the bronzer, and I came out with, and a couple other blushes for an upcoming video, and I came out with a giant potato sponge, $36 palette. I just about bought a perfume that I sampled there from Tory Burch, and then I realized that the bottle of perfume was like $150 bucks. And I was like, yeah, no. That's where I draw the line. I do not need to buy a $150 bottle of perfume, nor can I, or should I. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more to the lower lash line. Take a mix of these two. Just because, why not? All right, I'm gonna add a shimmer on top. There's so many good shimmers in here. This berry tone's kind of like silvery berry. Actually, let's do that. I'm gonna put that on the outer half of the lid. And then we're gonna pop this kind of like berry toned brown and maybe that berry color in the outer corner to kind of shape out. And then we'll put like a taupe on the inner part of the lid. That is so pretty. It's kind of like lavender looking, which is maybe like clashing with my mustard jacket, but that's okay. I'm gonna take a little bit of this dark brown and then this shade in the corner, which has a little bit of glitter in it, but it's really more of a matte, one of those kind of glittery mattes. Right along the lash line and just kind of feather it in. Deepen up the outer corner a bit. I'm not gonna lie though, I like this eye look, but I'm definitely gonna be changing my blazer after this video. This is just not working for me. Maybe I have like a pink sweater. That would work much better. Now, what do we want to put on the inner part of the lid? So I could go with like the pink. It's kind of like a shell pink. I was kind of thinking more of like a taupe like this. That silver is just a little too silver for me. What about that. Is that gonna be light enough? Okay, let's do this. I'm first gonna take this ivory shade right here. I'm gonna pop that on the inner part of my lid, just right here. And then I'm gonna put this kind of taupe color on top of the ivory. Gotta brighten that up first. I know it looks crazy right now. I look like David Bowie on Labyrinth. And now we're taking this taupe, tap that on the inner part of the lid right over that ivory we just put down. Let's now add a little bit of liner. I do feel like I need some eyeliner with this look. I'm gonna take this one. This is my Mersey liner. This I got from Yes Style. I have the mini, this super slim one, and then this is just the regular sized one. I'm just gonna put it on my waterline, the outer half, and then just a smidge on the outer corner, just kind of drawing a little baby wing. And then while that's kind of drying, I wanna go back to the shadow, and I'm gonna take the dark, I might mix the brown and the black right here with an angled brush. Let's use this little one from Persona. This is the line brush. And we're gonna mix those two shades right there, just a little bit on the very tip. I'm gonna kind of smudge this liner out just a little bit. Very pretty. Okay, now we're gonna add some mascara. I'm just gonna take a couple coats of my Physicians Formula Diamond Mascara. Then I'll come back, we'll finish off with the lips and we'll be all finished. All right, eyes are all finished. Let's move on to the lips. I wanted to pull out an old lip liner that is my tiniest lip liner that I own. This thing is just about gone. It's the LA Girl Shockwave lip liner in the shade Mauve. I just sharpened this and man, I did not want, it's like plastic, it's kind of like wooden sort of plastic. I don't know, it was really stiff. I smudge that out with my finger a bit. Okay, now we're gonna do something real crazy. I'm gonna actually use a lipstick today. This is Chic from Juvia's Place. A very pretty color, I forgot about that. I'm gonna leave that out. And then let's top that off with a lip gloss. Actually, let's use this. This is the Persona Day Mask, kind of lip gloss or lip balm. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on my finger. And there we are. This is the completed makeup look. What do you guys think of this one? What do you guys think of this giant sponge? I'm curious how many of you have tried this or any other sponges that are larger than the typical size. I don't know, it's kind of gimmicky. I feel like this might take me some time to get used to. I think there's some things I liked about it. Like I like this for when my blush and my bronzer and my highlighter is all on. I mean, this is so quick. It's just sort of like going around the edges and kind of like blending everything together. It was difficult to blend the under eye area. It was a little bit cumbersome, but it's very cute. It's very large, and I imagine once you get the hang of it, it's probably pretty fast as well. So I'll let you know whether or not this ends up being a hit or a miss. I kind of feel like I'm in the middle with it right now. As for everything else, the concealer, it worked really well for me. I was worried about this because this shade, I mean, inside the bottle, it looks like this purpley gray color. It actually ended up working out pretty well for me. You know I love the Buttermelt bronzer. That is, you're gonna see that in a lot of videos and description boxes in the coming months because I'm just so wild about this bronzer. I think it's fantastic. As for the eyeshadow palette, I didn't dislike it. I'll say that. I like this eye look. It is very cool toned. Duh. And it's very old. I mean, if you haven't gotten this at this point, I don't know. I don't know why I bought this thing. I'll probably end up regretting this. I guess the time will tell, but that completes this video today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any thoughts on some of these products I tried out today, let me know what you thought about them. Stay tuned. I have a kind of comparison dupe video coming up where we're going to try and dupe some very expensive blushes. I am really excited about that video, so make sure that you have your notifications turned on, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Okay, quick update on the sponge. So this is actually the day after I put the same clothes and makeup on because I didn't film an intro when I filmed this video yesterday. Anyways, I washed the sponge this morning. It really did not hold up very well in the washing. I mean, sponges generally after a week or two or a couple of weeks will get a lot of these little tears in them. This is the first washing and there are a ton of just little like fingernail tears in it. So it's not the most durable sponge. Just be aware of that.